Yo, how you guys doing? Double stream in a week. I don't know when the last time I've done that. I don't know if I've ever done that actually. I don't know if I've actually ever done that. But look, there's a first for everything. There is a first for everything. If you haven't done so already, make sure to join the Discord, the link to which is in the description. Join the Discord. I'm not planning on streaming for long, I'll be so real. I'm trying to cap this at maybe maybe cap this at like 2 hours maybe. But I do have a couple of things that I do want to speak about, a couple of fun exercises to do, why not? I think next week will be the last chapter of One Piece for the year. So maybe I'll figure out something then, I'm not sure. Something to do while, you know, we're gonna be away for maybe I think 2 or maybe 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. But really and truly, the reason why I wanted to stream, if I'm being completely honest, let me just get my water real quick. But really and truly, the reason why I wanted to stream is because literally the other day, I was rereading the Little Garden arc, and I can't lie, like, it's literally only 15 chapters. I would implore all of you just to read it, because it will take you like no more than an hour. You're not late, Cal. I feel like that's like your tagline every time you join the stream. Are you late? Nah, I literally just started, bro. But I would implore all of you to read Little Garden. It's literally a prologue to the Elbaf arc. 15 chapters. Won't take you no more than an hour. Yeah? I don't even know why I felt like reading it. Honestly, I don't even know what happened. I feel like I was looking for one particular thing, just randomly. It must have just been in my bed. I was just chilling, and then I don't know why I ended up reading it, but I ended up reading it. And I enjoyed it, and I can't lie, I was almost about to start reading Drum Island, because that guy Oda, low key, I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing. I was just reading. So the last chapter of the Little Garden arc, at the end of the chapter is when Nami falls sick, and then obviously they need to go find a doctor. And low key, Oda kind of had me in like some sort of trance, because I was genuinely about to just start reading and reading. Like, it was just flowing. But I caught myself, I can't lie, because I was like, oh cool, I read the Little Garden, sorry. Like, cool, I kind of got what I wanted to get. And the main takeaway that I had after reading the prologue of the Elbaf arc, that's what I'm calling it, it's literally a prologue, is this theme of a warrior's pride. Now, on the last stream, when I was talking about the whole Harold thing, that's one thing I picked up on, and it's something that interested me, because Ida was saying to Harold that she likes all that warrior stuff. She finds it all cool. And I was thinking, like, that's kind of interesting, because it made it seem as though I mean, if she didn't say that, you may have thought that she kind of rejected the customs and the culture of Elbaf, but she actually told Harold to treasure it, because that's what Elbaf is. Like, Elbaf isn't Elbaf without its culture and without its history. But it was more so, I was trying to make the point that Harold was conflating the two. He's conflating the culture, the customs, and the pride of a warrior, of an Elbaf warrior, to the negative history and the baggage that is caused. What's up, Orator? Bug up to you, bro. So I was thinking, like I had to talk about, you know, she likes like the whole idea about warriors' pride. She thinks it's cool. She thinks that they should treasure it. So I was like, So I started reading Little Garden, and I can't lie, the whole Dory and Broggy fight, bro, like the reason why they're fighting isn't even important. They're just fighting to fight. And that was their pride. That was their pride speaking. And there was one line that just stuck out to me. It was something Dory said where he's like, if I don't have my pride, then I've lost myself. And then I remembered Emu doing Domi Reversi to Dory and Broggy, and Usopp calling out where their warrior's pride is gone. And I was thinking, yo, there's no way Oda doesn't connect this. There's no way Oda doesn't follow through with the pride of a warrior. There's just no way he doesn't do it. Because I would be like, bro, after I read the Little Garden, that concept, it just hit me differently, man. I can't lie. And it just gave me Saiyan vibes. I just liked it. I'll be real. I don't know, man. Usually, I'll be so real. I'm kind of a sucker for like that whole theme surrounding strength. I love it. I love it. Probably why I like Dragon Ball so much. Probably why Netero is my favorite character in Hunter x Hunter. Probably why Toguro is my favorite character in Yu Yu Hakusho. Aomine favorite character in Kuroko. I'm trying to think of other characters that kind of fit this mold. Saitama, I can't lie. Saitama, he's a real nigga, but it probably isn't really because he's strong, but that guy's just funny. I like Saitama because he's funny, I'll be real. But that sort of those sorts of like those character arcs, those themes, I'm just a sucker for that shit, man. And I was literally reading A Little Garden and I was like, bro, and look, Rohan, you're just in time, bro. I barely started. Look, I'm gonna go through some of the parts that stuck up to me the most. So let me find this. Cool. Matt in the chat says, who are the biggest trolls in One Piece? Trolls. A troll. A troll. I can't lie. Troll. Low-key has to be Crocus. It has to be Crocus. Now that I think about it. But I think that's only anime only, like. As in that extended scene is only in the anime. I can't lie. Crocus trolled the fuck out of them. I can't lie. Zoro got triggered differently. Morgans. Vietnamese Morgans. Troll. I would say Crocus, man. Anime Crocus is the biggest troll. Can't really think of any other trolls, I'll be honest. Like Buggy, I don't know if Buggy would be a... Am I mute? Can you hear me? Hello? Oh. Yeah, Rohan, you gotta fix your shit, man. Morgan's baited the whole world into the 5th Emperor nonsense. I can't lie, man. I wouldn't call that trolling. I'd just call that journalism. It is what it is. But listen. Little Garden, everyone needs to read it. Everyone needs to read it. I'll be so real. Like, I'm probably gonna do a reread of the Elbaf arc once the flashback ends. But Little Garden is like a must. You can't reread the Elbaf arc without rereading Little Garden. It literally makes no sense. It's literally like reading Sky PR without Jaya. Borderline. It's almost like reading Sky PR without Jaya. I'm keeping it 100. But this is where it got me, yeah? So, cool. Ida tells Harold that he should treasure the culture of Elbaf. Yeah, she likes the whole warrior's pride thing. Alright? Usopp sees Domi Reversi, Dorian Broggy, and says, Where's your warrior's pride gone? Yeah? Usopp, I can't lie, Usopp, bro, if this guy Oda doesn't cook with Usopp, and I'm not even saying this because I like Usopp, I'm saying this because I like the concept, and I know the concept is tied to Usopp, okay? These niggas, Dorian Broggy, were fighting for a reason they completely forgot. It had been decades and decades and decades since when they started fighting, and they fought over which animal they hunted was bigger. Literally the Zoro and Sanji stuff, which I can see why people think they're gonna fight Dorian Broggy. But the only reason why they continue their fight, it's out of pride. Yeah. Usopp. Next chapter, yeah. This is why I like this. I can't lie, as soon as I read this, I was like, this is some real shit. Usopp explains it to Nami. She says, let's say there's a metaphorical flag raised in their hearts, and those flags are more important than their very lives. They don't want their flags to be broken no matter what. So they protect the flag, they continue this fight for over 100 years. Can't you see? This is a real battle of pride between two warriors. Yeah? So that flag that's raised in their heart is a flag that's named a warrior. And they treasure that more than their lives themselves. You know what it also reminded me of? It also reminded me of Zoro and Baratier. Yeah? When Zoro said to Mihawk, yeah, like scars on a swords and back is the greatest shame. He would rather die than take defeat, because taking defeat is losing his pride as a warrior. And you know, in this arc, Zoro, I'll be so real, Zoro was a real nigga, bro. Like, I read this shit and I was like, you know what, now I remember, like, this is part of the reason when I was first watching One Piece, Zoro instantly became number one, number two. Like, Luffy and Zoro were alternating. Sometimes, more time than not, pre-time skip, I felt like I liked Luffy more, I'll be real. Yeah? I always liked Luffy. But there were times where I was like, fuck, this guy Zoro is too much of a real nigga, bro. And this arc, he was a real nigga, bro. I'll be so real. What he done with the Mr. 3 thing, I'll touch on it later, but because it kind of connects. So I was like, okay, cool. So this is the idea of a warrior's pride. And Usopp literally sees their battle, and their battle is a representation of what he wants to be. Yeah? That battle is what Usopp meant by a brave warrior of the sea. He wants to become a proud warrior just like them. Yeah? And then he says he wants to visit Elbaf. He says visiting Elbaf is his dream or whatever, but in the Elbaf arc. But I don't think that, obviously, like, some people are kind of trolling Usopp saying that, you know, now that he's got to Elbaf, his dream is done. But I do think Oda should be cooking something with Usopp, and this arc is probably gonna be the step in him becoming a brave warrior of the sea. Because later on, I think in the very next chapter, I can't. This Luffy part, I saw this, I was like, yeah, this Luffy's a real nigga, bro. I can't lie. In the next chapter, the fight continues. Sorry, no, this is Luffy versus Dory, but I think in the next chapter is when Usopp is speaking to Nami about this. Or was it the one after? Yeah, it's the one after. It's the one after. Nami's like, wasn't it just a moment ago that you boldly declared something about becoming a brave warrior? And Usopp says, the key word is becoming. I want to eventually be able to take pride in the way in my way of life, but I'm not quite at that stage yet. That's what he says at Little Garden. I feel like the Elbaf arc has to be the stage in which Usopp genuinely starts to become a brave warrior to sea. There has to be a particular moment. There has to be a big moment in which he can proudly say, okay, he's genuinely taken real strides and steps into becoming a brave warrior to sea. It has to be the arc. And I'm not saying this, Kyle, like, wait, Zage, you got stocks on my goat Usopp too. I wouldn't say I have stocks. I wouldn't say that. I'll be honest. Like, if Oda fumbles the bag, I wouldn't really be pissed because of Usopp. I'll be so honest. Yeah? Usopp's a cool character. Like, I like Usopp, but I don't like him a lot. I'll be real. He's not one of my favorites, but what I will say is that this theme, this concept of warrior's pride is moved me, man. It's moved me, and it can't. And the thing is that it can't fully be brought to fruition without Usopp. So it's kind of annoying me. Like, do you know what I mean? Bro, I haven't even watched your 5-hour stream yet. Let me catch up. Bro, you'll get time to catch up, bro. I'll keep up that stream for like at least a month, probably. Don't worry, bro. Do you think it's going to connect with what he was saying in Wano to the Scabbards? What did he say? I don't know. Logia, you know more Usopp stuff than I do, bro. Tag me on Discord and then show me the panel. I haven't really deeped like Usopp's character arc like that. I'll be real. I only really remember surface level. I'll be so honest. I know people were drawing theories of this panel, this bottom panel here, where he says one day, no matter what happens, even if I were to die alone on a deserted island, I'll look back proudly at my life, and as I die, I'll yell, I am Usopp, brave warrior of the sea. People were thinking, oh, Usopp's gonna die, or whatever, and he's actually gonna have that moment. Like, if Usopp actually dies on some ace shit, bro, I'll be like, fuck. I'll be like, fuck. Man, I'll be real. But that moment can only hit if Elbaf hits, to be honest. It's the chapter where Izo pulls up. Oh, okay, I know that chapter. It is... Ooh. 984? Or 83? Something like that. Bro, don't test me on my white-beard pirates, bro. I know when my white-beard pirates show up. When does Izo speak to Usopp though? I don't remember Izo speaking to Usopp. Anyway, kinda had to flex a little bit, but flex my memory a little bit. But anyway, another thing I'd like to, yeah, segueing a little bit off the Usopp thing, because this concept, like, this needs to be drilled home, yeah. This is another part. So Dory, he drank the rum, he drank the alcohol that was that Mr. 5 or Mr. 3, whatever, they put a bomb in his drink and they wounded him. And despite being wounded, he hid his injuries from Broggy because he feels like running away from a battle that has already begun is to run away from being a warrior. And to no longer be a warrior is to no longer be myself. To no longer be a warrior is to no longer be yourself. When I read this, I was instantly I thought of Domi-Reversi. Instantly I thought of Domi-Reversi. And I thought as well, I was like, huh. When I read the Zebek thing, when I saw Zebek become Domi-Reversi as well, and people thought, okay, like the whole Whitebeard thing, it's kind of weird, like, you know, Oda kind of making him look stupid, and Big Mom and Kaido kind of look stupid as well, because can't you see that the guy just grew horns, his teeth got bigger, looks like a demon, grew wings and shit. It looks kind of stupid, but I felt like what Oda was trying to communicate is that, like, Zebek is no longer himself, and if he's no longer himself, then Whitebeard and the others have no longer a reason to be with him. Do you know what I mean? And I read this and I got validated in my opinion. I was like, yo, this Domi-Reversi thing, like, you've lost the honor that you have. You've lost yourself. Izo pull up saving Kiku and Kinemon. Oh man, when did Izo pull up saving? You gotta give me more to go on. When did he pull up saving Kiku and Kinemon? I don't remember. But yeah, to no longer be a warrior is to no longer be myself. I read that and I was like, damn, that Domi-Reversi thing clicks, it connects. To me, at least. That's how I felt when I read this. But at the same time though, Oda challenged this notion a little bit as well. And normally what the main characters and the protagonists reject in a story generally is, like, authors use that to communicate what we as the readers should take, right? And Luffy's trying to tell Dory to not go into this fight. Like, your duel has been interfered with. There's a third party involved. You can't go into a fight sustaining injuries given to you by someone else. That's what he's trying to tell Dory. And Dory's saying this is merely judgment of the warrior god Elbaf. All it means is that I'm not blessed by divine protection. And Luffy completely rejects it. He completely rejects about that bullshit about Elbaf's god, divine protection. None of that doesn't really matter. As soon as someone has interfered with your duel, that shit's not real no more. But to me, what I found most admirable about this is about what Broggy says. Because Broggy, literally before this, the chapter before this, because they used the volcano as like the bell, the initiation of when the battle starts. They just finished the fight not that long ago. The volcano goes off again. Okay, that's a signal for battle. Dory says, or like they question Dory saying that you're gonna go to fight, but what about the injuries you just received? Broggy says that goes for both him and me. Making such excuses in a relentless fight to the death would only tarnish one's honor. I read this, I was like, fuck, aura. I was like, yeah, I'm moved. It's after the king fight. Alright, let me. Cool, wait, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, he was talking to the Scabbers too several times in the arc. He bouts the concept of martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Okay. I have an idea when this is done. After the king fight. Okay. Has to be 10:36. 10:35 is the king fight. 10:36. 10:37 is Luffy. Might be 10:36 actually. I was right here. So Usopp, leave me, take Kiku. Cool, I'll leave you both and save my own skin. Wait, then why did I even show up? What is it with you, samurai, and your death wishes? What use is taking? Wait, what use is your pride? Taking responsibility through harakiri. I'm not a fan of this culture of yours. I cling to life with snot running from my nose if I have to. I don't care if it looks pathetic. I survive. It's what I do. And it's the entire reason I'm standing here alive today. Why are you idiots so satisfied with just pulling off your raid? Izo agrees. He's right, of course. Get down. Okay. Brother, forgive this one. Don't speak, it will only hurt you. We'll have plenty of time to talk later. Focus on your survival. If you truly believe in Straw Hat Luffy, that is. Okay. I feel like Harakiri. Harakiri, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a Japanese culture where like when someone feels dishonored, they just kill themselves. If I'm not mistaken. I cling on to my life with snot running down from my nose if I have to. I don't care if it looks pathetic. I survive is what I do. And it's the entire reason I'm standing here alive today. I feel like Usopp's idea of pride and Wano's culture of pride is different. And honor. That's what I feel. I feel like it's supposed to be different. Let me quickly search this up. So this is actually a good point to mention, to be honest. What is cool. So harakiri holds historical, cultural, and moral significance in Japanese culture, especially within the samurai tradition. Harakiri literally means cut in the belly. Seppuku is the more formal, respectful term and was used in official and ceremonial contexts. The abdomen was believed to be the seat of the soul and sincerity, so cutting it symbolized revealing one's true self. Samurai code and honor Bushido. Seppuku was closely tied to Bushido, the samurai code of honor. It was performed to restore honor after failure or disgrace, avoid capture by enemies, protect injustice, follow one's lord in death. Death with honor was considered preferable to living in shame. Okay, so harakiri represents an intense historical expression of honor, responsibility, and loyalty rooted in samurai culture. While no longer practiced, it remains a powerful symbol in Japan's cultural memory, both respected and re-evaluated through a modern ethical lens. Yeah, I feel like what's going on here is Usopp's ideal of honor and pride is different to the samurai's culture of it. That's what I feel like is different. So I feel like Oda is trying to essentially, because if in real life that in Japanese culture is like a respected thing, but has been reevaluated through a modern ethical lens. Let me actually search this up then. How has it been reevaluated? In a Okay, in a modern ethical lens, harakiri or seppuku has been significantly reevaluated, shifting from admiration of honor to a more critical human-centered understanding. This reevaluation happens across ethics, law, psychology, and culture. From honor to human dignity. Traditional view, seppuku was seen as a virtuous act preserving honor, loyalty, and moral integrity. Individual life was often subordinate to duty, clan, or lord. A modern ethical view, human life is considered inherently valuable regardless of failure or shame. Ethics now prioritize individual dignity, well-being, and rights over social expectations. Self-inflicted death under social pressure is seen as a violation of autonomy, and it's not expression. Okay, so I see it. Okay, so cultural memory versus ethical endorsement. Modern Japan distinguishes between remembering history, endorsing its values, and seppuku is studied as a historical phenomena, a cautionary example of rigid honor cultures. Films and literature increasingly portray it as tragic, wasteful, a failure of society to protect life. Reinterpretation of honor. Honor is redefined as taking responsibility without self-destruction, enduring failure and continuing to contribute, protecting life, including one's own. Moral strength is now associated with resilience, not death. Okay, this is starting to make sense. So I feel like what Usopp's supposed to represent here is essentially a modern view of what honor is supposed to be in Japanese culture. The samurai represent a historical view of what honor is, and they feel like if you've failed, then the best way to honor yourself is to just cut your belly, since that's where you reveal your true self. But there's more meaningful ways of dying. So I feel like Usopp is rejecting that notion. He's rejecting the notion of just ending your life. He doesn't care if it looks pathetic. He tries to survive, and it's the reason why that he's still around, as he says. Why are you idiots so satisfied with pulling off your raid? And Izo agrees as well. I feel like Izo, because he has become a pirate, he's seen the world as well. That's probably why his views on it has changed. WSM in the chat says, maybe Oda showing Usopp's flaws for the Elbaf moment of character growth. I don't know if I would consider, I don't know if I would consider this in Wano a character flaw. I feel like this is intentional. Orator in the chat says, with Usopp, I think one of the key themes is survival versus bravery or courage. I feel like while Usopp is probably going to get the bulk of the character focus this arc, I think Oda is start with some character stuff for Zoro because of how the two characters contrast. You should make a Harold vs. Whitebeard video. I'll probably plan to do that maybe in future once I get more info feeds and stuff like that. I think it's a bit premature for a combo like that. It could be the case that Wano has an extreme view of pride, whereas Elbaf has a more weak approach. Weak approach. Pride with the new gen, and he'll balance it out. Okay, I think there's two. Okay, I think this is a good conversation to have, right? So pride in Wano is traditionally associated with historical samurai, right? I feel like that's the message that Oda's going for. And essentially here, Oda essentially criticizes the old interpretation of how you can maintain your honor, and Usopp rejects it here. But similarly, in Little Garden, Usopp and Luffy reject the idea that Dory and Broggy's sense of honor comes from the warrior god Elbaf. So it's similar. So in the Elbaf arc, right, a big thing about Harold's development was essentially moving away from the cultures that essentially bred Elbaf, from like Elbaf becoming a tyrannical warland country that was just causing mayhem on the sea. Yeah, so Harold is trying to change that history of Elbaf. However, in his pursuit of doing that, he kind of lost or started to ignore or started to conflate what made Elbaf great was their pride in being warriors that battle and have a large sense of honor of who they are, to the negative things that were outcomes of that in the past. Luffy and Usopp in Little Garden essentially rejected the notion and the idea that this idea of a Elbaf god is where their sense of honor and pride is coming from. Because that's essentially what it seems like Dory is basically communicating. This is merely judgment of the warrior god Elbaf. All it means is I'm not blessed by his protection, by his divine protection. But Elbaf's sense of pride and warrior pride doesn't come from the Elbaf god, it comes from who they are. Luffy and Usopp don't actually reject the idea of having a lot of honor, having honor in yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's like a big strength of will. It's essentially just like another way of communicating the idea of one strength of will, right? But Luffy rejects the idea that just now that someone has interfered with your duel, you're not now dishonored by it. Even Broggy, he kind of acknowledges this as well. Because when he finds out that Mr. 3 is the one that interfered with their duel, he's pissed. But just because he knew something was up, because he mentions, you seem hurt, like more hurt than normal, he's not going to pity Dory in a battle, even if he knows something's up, because he's not trying to dishonor him in that fight. So here we go. This is Broggy saying, I knew it. Or I knew from the moment I first swung my battle axe that Dory was hiding something from me. Mr. 3 says, you say you knew. What lies you make? If so, then why did you not stop fighting? Your violent blows didn't seem to bear the slightest amount of compassion or pity, I recall. Broggy says, as if a dishonorable runt who doesn't even comprehend what duels are could understand the reason for my tears. What would you know? You dare suggest I dishonor a warrior who fights while hiding the pain that he bears? How could one show pity to a warrior who goes to such lengths to fight? Damn. But now I know what exactly he was hiding, and because I know, I shall settle everything with my own 2 hands. And this is when he starts breaking the steel like wax. This is how I shall pay my due respects to my dear friend Dory. At this point, he thinks that Dory actually died. He actually thinks he killed him. So he kind of gets like his resolve starts to kind of awaken, and he starts to break the thing. But here, the way I understood it was essentially, even though Broggy knows that their duel was interfered, he still respects Dory, knowing that he like essentially carried out his pride as a warrior, made no excuse of it, and went into that fight. And that's essentially what he's acknowledging. So I feel like there's 2 things going on. Oda is not necessarily communicating that a warrior's pride is a bad thing, in the sense that you don't make excuses after, like, just because of injuries that you've sustained in a duel. You don't make excuses of it. But at the same time, the source of one's honor doesn't come from a god. It comes from yourself. That's what I feel like the message was. So when I was reading this and I was thinking about Domi Reversi, Dory and Broggy, and Usopp, what he said, it just clicked my mind to what Dory said and said, if he has no honor, he's no longer a warrior. And if he's no longer a warrior, he's no longer himself. I can't lie, man. I was like, that's what I mean by this arc just being a prologue to Elbaf. It's borderline what Jaya was to Skypiea. Borderline. There's no other way of looking at it. Honestly. And then this part here, bro, this guy Zoro, man. This part right here, hold on. This guy Zoro was about to cut off his legs. Because if he just done nothing, he was gonna die. He might as well go die trying, bro. Get rich or die trying, bro. Yo, Zoro says, can you still move, giant? Tearing off your arms and legs will be a lot more useful than being dead. I can still move as well. Once I cut off my feet, would you like to help me crush these bastards? Now me trying to tell him that he's crazy. Can't know until you try, you know. Standing here is only gonna bring us certain death. Might as well go down, painfully struggle down to our very last breath. And then what Broggy says here, move me, man. What a bold little one you are. Even I was on the verge of losing my will to fight. I'll gladly follow along with your spirit, with that spirit of yours. That's a real conqueror, man. That's a real conqueror, bro. This guy Dory would one-shot Zoro in this arc. I mean, Broggy would one-shot Zoro in this arc. Yo, this guy Zoro is like a little fledgling, a little ant that Broggy can step on if he wanted to. But that spirit difference, bro. That spirit difference was crazy. That spirit difference was crazy. But we been knew this though. We been knew this because literally Baratier, scars on the swordsman's back is a greater shame. He would rather die than take defeat. It's literally what Usopp was saying about what honor is as a warrior. It's like a flag raised in your heart. You'd rather protect that with your life. You'd rather die than have that broken. Zoro would rather die to Mihawk than have that flag of a warrior in his heart broken. It's the same thing. This guy Zoro, as a conqueror, he doesn't even know he's a conqueror at this point. But that spirit of him, it shone brightly. It inspired even Broggy, who has a warrior's pride himself. Almost lost it because of the situation. Even Vivi, bro, I can't. This part here. Nami saying, "You're joking, right? How do you expect to fight with without both of your legs? Who knows? But I plan to win. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. Zoro's options at that point, there's so few." Yo, Logan, you know it connects to the arc, bro. This connects. It connects to the theme. This is real spill. But I plan to win. Even Vivi was inspired by this. Cause she remembers what Ingram said. "Princess Vivi, are you prepared to never give up and die?" She remembers those words. Even her spirit is invigorated. Look at what Zoro does, bro. This is what a conqueror does. This is what real conquerors do, bro. This is what real conquerors do. Real conquerors do this shit, bro. This is what real conquerors do. If it wasn't for Luffy pulling up in the last second, bro, that guy, Zoro's legs would have been gone. Broggy's hand and legs would have been gone as well. They would have bodied Mr. 3 and them bums anyway. But it's about the principle, it's about the message. Yo, this Warriors pride thing, bro, it moved me, man. Differently. On all levels, it moved me. And that's why I feel like the Usopp thing is so important. This Usopp thing, it has to like follow through. There has to be a good payoff to this, man. Again, this is the moment that shows, this Zoro moment shows how both Zoro and Usopp contrast most on the crew. Usopp would find a way to run, while Zoro, just like you said, would choose to die fighting. Yeah, but I think Usopp choosing to run, that's the thing. Usopp hasn't got to that point in his progression yet. Usopp hasn't got to that point in his progression where he could proudly say he's a brave warrior. He holds the ideal, but he hasn't got to that stage of his life yet. It's been a long journey for Usopp, but I feel like there's been glimpses throughout the story, I'd say. With Usopp, I'd say one major glimpse is the whole Sogeking King thing. The whole Sogeking King thing in Enies Lobby, him showing up in the end, I think it's a glimpse of it. I think another glimpse being the whole Sugar situation in Dressrosa. Sniping Sugar, awakening observation haki, he was rewarded for that as well. I feel like there's another moment. I feel like with Usopp, Elbaf has to be the arc in which he can now start to say that he's heading in the right direction. That's what I feel personally. Because there's no point. What would be the point of Usopp being on Elbaf? An arc where there's giants that pride themselves on the honor of them being a warrior, what he wants to be, and this isn't the arc in which he genuinely takes real strides into becoming what he wanted to become. Not gonna lie, he's been doing the same thing since he fought Chu. I need something different. I hear it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Elbaf has to be an arc for Usopp where he starts to genuinely move different. This isn't some consistent standard to Conqueror's personalities. What do you mean? What I was just saying, bro, this is 100, like, okay, maybe not some consistent standard, maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, or wrong way of portraying it, but I would say this is 100%. What Zoro did right here is 100% what a conqueror would do. What a conqueror would do and say is what Zoro was saying here. Like, maybe there's been times in which those that don't have conqueror's haki have shown very, you know, great strength of will, but I feel like in this arc the messaging is a little bit stronger because it's an arc about maintaining your honor as a warrior. So if Zoro is showing more spirit than one of the strongest giants in history, and that giant comes from a country where their whole race prides themselves and their culture is based on their pride of a warrior, and he's been fighting for 100 years to uphold his pride, and Zoro showed more spirit than him. I feel like the messaging within the arc, on top of that, it makes that more of a conqueror moment for Zoro. 100%. I think Usopp's gonna break your concept of what a conqueror would do. We both know Usopp barely is gonna change after this arc, and I personally think he'll get it in this arc. Yeah, but if Usopp barely changes, then what's the point? What's the point? What was the point of him saying to Nami the keyword is becoming if he never became? Deep it, like really deep it, like what's the point? What's the point of him saying that? What chapter was it? It was chapter... What's the point of Usopp saying this right here? It makes no sense. Where's this shit? How can he say the keyword is becoming? I want to eventually be able to take pride in my way of life, but I'm not quite at that stage yet. If he barely changes, then what? Has he just been at that stage, like almost been there since this arc? What's the point? That's what I'm saying. There has to be a major moment for Usopp that illustrates and demonstrates how he has genuinely taken strides to becoming a brave warrior like Dorian Broggie. Otherwise, what's the point? Another thing as well. Bro, this is why I like this arc, man. This arc, it moved me. When Dorian Broggie was seeing off the Straw Hats. You all risk your lives so that our pride can remain untarnished. Thus, in return, no matter the foe, we must not let your flag of pride be tarnished either. Trust in us and sail straight ahead, no matter what happens. Sail only straight ahead. We must not let your flag of pride be tarnished either. You could take pride in his way of life without becoming the edgy, cool sword dude, bro, character archetype. Bro, I can't lie. The fact that you strung those words together was so cringe. And I know you think it's cringe as well. That was so cringe. Don't ever use the word dude, bro, in my chat ever again. Don't ever do that. Oh my god. Bro, I'm not saying Usopp has to turn into an edgelord. Like, make no mistake. I'm not saying he has to become some edgy, like, aura farmer all of a sudden. He doesn't have to do that, but it just has to be more of a... I don't know. I don't know, because I know Usopp isn't really the guy that to show physical demonstrations of like strength and will. He's not really the type of guy to do that in a physical sense. But at the same time, it's like it's a battle shonen. It has to be shown in a fight. There has to be something combat related to carry home that message. Otherwise, I'm not moved, man. I'm not moved. It's not cringe. You guys think there is a specific conqueror archetype. Usopp will never do what Zoro done in Little Garden. Not even anything close to it. What? Usopp's never done any sense of self-sacrifice. He's never done that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I can't believe I have to educate a Usopp fan on this. Mr. 4. That fight never happened. He didn't show great strength of will in that fight. What chapter was that? Nah, that ain't it. Nah, that ain't it. Nah, that ain't it either. Damn, when was this shit? There we go. Let's read this chapter together. I'm sick and tired of this. We're gonna get killed anyway. There's no way we can beat these monsters. Usopp, stop. You can't run away from these guys. Your friend is right. After all your little tricks and games, you think you can get away scot-free? A weakling for a captain makes for followers that are even weaker. Captain, are you talking about Luffy? If you mean straw out Luffy, then he's nothing but a stone cold corpse by now. Mrs. Zero took care of him. The rebellion's already started and your captain's now dead. You picked the wrong people to mess with. Don't go around spouting crap about what you don't know, you mole hag. There's not a chance as hell that some dumb crock of sand could ever kill Luffy. This guy went from running away to this, and you're telling me that Usopp will never show like signs of strength. He will never do like moments of self-sacrifice. Are you crazy? If you're a man, there are times when you have to fight no matter what. And that time is when your friend's dreams are laughed at. Oh my god, are you mad? Are you mad? Even if you act tough, there's nothing that you could do with that weak body of yours. He literally, bro. He was literally ready to do like a sacrificial move. Man, stop it, bro. Nah, stop it. Look, okay. When I was saying everything I said about Zoro, I didn't say that was the only type of way to be a conqueror. But I was saying that is a showcase of a conqueror spirit. That's what I said. That is what that's what real conquerors do. 100%. 100%. This guy Usopp went from running away from it at the beginning of this fight to standing on his 10 toes because Luffy's dream was laughed at, because Luffy was mocked. And you're telling me that Usopp can't fight for something more than himself and show great signs of strength? I'm saying I need something like this and it to be more permanent after Elbaf. That's what I'm saying. So what do you mean not change that much? If he doesn't even do something like he did against Mr. 4, I'm sorry. Like, put the fries in the bag, put the sniper in the bag, put the plants in the bag, put the goggles in the bag. Put it all in the bag, bro. Put the nose in the bag. That's it, bro. Dust your hands with Usopp. We're done. We're done with this character. I'll be so real, and I'll ride home into the sunset with my warrior spirit, carrying through Zoro. I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry. Usopp gonna get a top tier weapon akin to Zeus. He's been using a hammer frequently across the story. A Mjolnir that rivals or surpasses Ragnar that only Usopp can use. I can see that. Bro, fuck no Usopp not getting no advanced conquerors, bro. What the hell? Miss me with that shit. Of course he's not getting... Bro, Usopp getting Conqueror's Haki would just be a symbolic thing. He's not getting no advanced Conqueror's Haki, bro. No way, no how. Bro, the guy doesn't even know that he can use observation Haki, bro, properly, bro. The guy probably thought he was just seeing stars and got lucky. Talking about advanced Conquerors this arc. Miss me with that shit. The hell? But that's why, look, I've always been in favor of Usopp being a conqueror. I've always been in favor of it. Literally, ever since that, the first time I've ever seen the theory about how Usopp's lies start to become true or whatever, ever since then, I've always been on board with it. That guy's lied twice about that shit, maybe 3 times. I only remember twice, Dressrosa and Wano. I don't know if there was another time. The guy's lied twice about it. That's too many times. The guy's getting it, in my opinion. I feel like Usopp is going to have Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, and I feel like him getting Conqueror's Haki is actually pretty good because of what his dream represents. Him getting Conqueror's Haki as an initiation to him genuinely taking real strides into becoming a brave warrior of the sea is perfect. It just needs to be accompanied with a great showcase of will and strength. That's it. I'm not saying Usopp needs to be looking like a top tier, an edgelord, an aura farmer. No, but in his own way, similar to what he done against Mr. 4, he stood on his 10 toes, he stood on his ground. He stood on what he believed in. If he can't do something like this, put everything in the bag. Put everything in the bag. I will not be moved about no Usopp if I don't at least get that. When Oda has already delivered me this against Mr. 4. Man, him getting Almond Haki is ass, bro. Look. Almond Haki cannot be the thing that represents this. No way. But that's why, look, that's why I preface this whole thing by saying I'm not a big Usopp fan. The only reason why I'm interested in this now is because I like the concept of a warrior's pride, and a warrior's pride has a lot to do with Usopp. So for me to see that concept actually fully fleshed out, Usopp is kind of like a main driver of that. That's really and truly the only reason why I care about it, to be honest. I like Dorian Broggy, especially after rereading Little Garden. I want to see that actually get a good payoff, if I'm being honest. I feel like that's what Oda was talking about when Ida said that she finds the whole warrior's pride thing cool. It's meant to be something good. It's something that's supposed to be celebrated, applauded, an admirable trait of the Elbaf giants. But this guy Harold decided to throw all that in the bag and toss it aside because he was conflating that shit with the acts of the past. That's another thing. Harold, low-key Harold, I need to know why they call him Wise. I want to know why they call him Wise. Harold can not only be called Wise because of this whole peace shit. There's no way. There has to be something. There has to be something about his death that left a lasting legacy outside of the whole peace shit. A bit unrelated, do you think that Buggy will get Conquerors? Oh my goodness. You know what? Do I think it? I'll be honest, I'm a bit indifferent to it. Like, I never really thought about Buggy getting Conqueror's Haki too strongly. That's not to say that I don't think he will or he won't. But if he does have Conqueror's Haki, I'm not surprised. But that's not really because of any sort of character trait that Buggy really shows. He's a big dreamer, but a big dreamer alone, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. It's similar to this whole Usopp thing with me, right? Like, because I'm not a big Buggy fan, I haven't really deeped or delved too much into Buggy's character like that. So maybe there's something I'm missing in my view of Buggy, but if he is a conqueror, I wouldn't be surprised simply because I just view him as an in-story troll. Like, Oda will just make this guy get anything because he's just that lucky. His luck is a real thing. That's the only reason why I'd buy it. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think Usopp ever reaches Yasopp's tier? 100%. I mean, he's going to be a better sniper than him, yeah? Pretty sure Oda said that he wants to keep Usopp the weakest Straw Hat, so unless Nami and Chopper get Advanced Conquerors, Usopp ain't getting it. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, he did say that. He said that way back in like 07. That he wants to make Usopp always the weakest character, like the weakest Straw Hat. Elbaf and post Elbaf will be a Conqueror's Haki bargain sale. I guess, but it won't really be a bargain sale depending because of who will actually have it. Buggy Death has Conqueror's Zage. There's no way you read the chapter where he talked down to Mihawk and Crocodile and think anything else. I'm guessing that's what you were trying to say. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, Buggy's a big dreamer. Like that's literally what I was referencing. I was referencing that when I said Buggy's a big dreamer. But being a big dreamer alone, I don't know how much I'm moved by that. Like, in terms of, okay, because this is what. Okay, every time Conqueror's Haki has been defined in the story, it's defined as an innate disposition to stand above all else. Those that have Conqueror's Haki tend to be well-renowned people, which I guess Buggy is now, but also have great ambition, which Buggy also has. But Buggy doesn't really have the characteristic to stand above all. He doesn't really have that innate disposition to stand above everyone else. He doesn't really have that. And even if he does it in this trolling way, like where he basically like what he done with the Impel Down lot, the criminals in Impel Down. Or he used the fact that he was on Roger's crew to overinflate how great that he is, so that he can get stronger subordinates than him. That's what I'm saying. Like Buggy could be like one of the exceptions. That he's not gonna be your typical type of conqueror. That's why I'm okay with Buggy being a conqueror. It wouldn't really be unbelievable. Yeah, but Buggy having a massive following that love him is not because of this disposition that he has to stand above everyone. He just lucks. That's what I'm saying. Buggy's whole thing is luck. But I'm not trying to discredit him. I'm just saying that is what it is. And if that is what Oda's way of making Buggy a conqueror, fair enough. But he can really and truly be like the only type. He's like a rare exception. He's a rare exception of a character mode like that. Buggy's charisma is literally based on like false truths. Let's be real, bro. Buggy is not this overly charismatic guy. I guess he is technically, but he's not overly charismatic in a conventional sense. People have false truths about this guy to the point in which it overinflates his stature. But that's the charm of Buggy. So I'm not trying to hate on him. I'll say the only thing that Buggy doesn't really sell me on is the innate disposition to stand above everyone else. He doesn't have that disposition in my eyes, at least. At least not in the conventional sense. He has it through luck, but that's how I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't really mind if that's Oda's approach to it. Because it does seem deliberate. It is deliberate. Him gaining all those followers in Impel Down is luck. Him becoming a warlord is luck. Nigga got a letter, bro, just passed to his door. It's luck. Him becoming a Yonko is luck, because the crew that admired him decided to put him in the center of a poster and advertise to the world that he's the boss of a Mihawk and a crocodile. Things fall into Buggy's favor, but I don't know, like, that's what I'm saying, like, I don't know. Conqueror's Haki is something that you're born with, and I don't know if something like Buggy's luck. I guess it's just innate. I guess he's just innately lucky. He's just an innately lucky guy. I guess he's just born lucky. Buggy vs Usopp, the battle of the weakest conquerors. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but him being able to maintain these things after getting them isn't luck. But how is he maintaining it though? Because he's letting them believe false truths about him. That's the whole thing about Buggy. They only know false truths. Not false truths, but half-truths. I shouldn't have said false truths, half-truths. It's not the full truth, it's part of the truth that makes Buggy seem greater than he is. But that's what I'm trying to say, like, I'm trying to, like, couple the idea of Conqueror's Haki being an innate ability and luck being just circumstantial shit. Oh no. Oh no. Long story short, everyone needs to read Little Garden again. Everyone needs to reread it. Yeah, Buggy's a big dreamer. Yeah, he wants to be Pirate King. But even the way in which he wants to become Pirate King, look. That's the thing, like, Buggy's not even trying to face the Yonko head up. Is it 1083, I think? 1082. No. Yeah, let's go and take it as this one. Even the way in which he wants to become Pirate King is literally saying, we just have to beat them to the punch. That's the only way to rule the treasure. That's the only way to rule with treasure. Finders keepers. Finders keepers, bro. Finders keepers. You would think this guy's playing hide and seek. Cops and robbers. Red letter sign. Finders keepers, bro. Finders keepers was a rule when you're like 7 years old. Not when you're a grown ass man. This guy's like 40. Finders keepers. This guy's really suggesting as a conqueror, supposedly, we don't need to fight them. We just need to get to them. We just need to get to it first. I don't know, man. That's the thing. Like, look, I'm not trying to harp on this for too long, but long story short, the only reason why I'm okay with Buggy being a conqueror is because it's Buggy. There's not going to be a plethora of Buggies. Buggy is going to be an exception, and a deliberate exception, and I'm completely fine with that. I'm completely fine with Buggy being an exception due to just an innate amount of luck that this guy has. That he's able to... His aura is literally luck. That's what it is. His aura is luck. And he's able to finesse the game in ways never done before. Buggy is literally the biggest finesser. That's what he is. He finessed his way to the top. He finessed his following. He finessed Crocodile Mihawk. He finessed the world government, becoming a warlord. And he's trying to run a finesse right now with the One Piece. The nigga's trying to finesse the One Piece, bro. He's trying to hit a lick. He's trying to hit a lick on the One Piece without even fighting them, bro. If Dofi went for the Pirate King, he'd say the same shit. Hell fucking no, you'd say the same. Nah, actually, I don't know. No, I doubt that actually. This guy was... Bro, Dofi is the same guy. Dofi is the same guy that was about to square up to Fujitora. Square up to Kuzan. Albeit it had its... Well, at the very least, he was okay with squaring up. Not that he was actually going to square up properly in those moments, but... Dofi actually had that was his real thing. Like, he had a real disposition to be a king. The guy's a celestial dragon. What are you talking about? He was a king of a country. Oh no, man. Look. Okay, look. This is the best way of putting it, yeah? Not every conqueror's ambition is Pirate King. Yeah, but they have great ambition. Dofi had great ambition. He was trying to be the biggest puppeteer of the world. Essentially. Rule the underworld. Leverage his connection as a celestial dragon with the world government. Political power. Katakuri is a conqueror because of his stature as the older sibling. He carried his stature of being invincible to stand above his siblings as a protector. Whitebeard, similar thing. Whitebeard was a conqueror not because of becoming Pirate King, but to protect his family, to protect his territory. Wherever the Whitebeard flag was, That was family. On some Dominic Toretto shit. Buggy's no honored one, bro. Don't disgrace the legacy of Gojo with the honored one. What are you talking about, bro? And Sukuna as well. Oh no, man. You're not selling me on this Buggy shit, man. I'm sorry. Anyway, where was I? Little Garden. I think actually I've said everything I wanted to say about Little Garden anyway. Warrior's Pride. What I just spoke about. Not being a warrior is to lose your honor. To lose your honor is to not be yourself. Domi Reversi is literally them no longer being themselves. They're getting turned on their head. Literally like the board game that it's based on. Literally a white piece turning black. They're no longer themselves anymore. Zabek no longer being himself. Seemingly betraying them. But Usopp has to do the home run, man. Usopp in the current day, Usopp has to do the home run. Cool. That's pretty much what I wanted to say on the Warriors Pride thing. I actually think whoever brought up the Izo Wano moment, that was actually a very good addition to this, because I'd even deep that at the time and I completely forgot about it. But yeah. I feel like Usopp's understanding and his ideal of honor is more in line with Elbaf, but also it's in line with Elbaf minus their adherence to the warrior god Elbaf. So Elbaf's understanding of honor minus their traditional understanding and adherence to the warrior god Elbaf. I think that's the best way of putting it. Because even Luffy admired that shit. It was an admirable trait that Dory and Broggy were willing to fight even with their injuries that they sustained in their duel, making no excuses. All that, loved it. Zoro as well in that arc. Oro, man. 15 chapters, bro. It's 15 chapters. You can literally read that in like 1 hour, less than that. Less than an hour. Alright, boom. There's 2 more things I wanted to do, because look, I don't want to be streaming for long, but I also don't want to make it seem like I just came and went. So 2 things that we're gonna do before I close this off. There was, which actually could take a while anyway, but the last stream. So in the last stream, I was watching Brago talk about the whole Mihawk thing, and side question: is there a way to watch your older streams? There isn't. I'll be honest. I've kind of like I privated all of them. The reason, okay, I might as well say it here. The main reason why I private them is just to kind of make sure the algorithm doesn't mess me up. That's pretty much it, to be honest. If you want, I actually tried to do this in the past. I just couldn't be bothered to actually do it. But if people are demanding it, then fair enough. I have a separate channel anyway where I was posting, like, at the time I'll try to like post streams in full. So I could post a whole VOD there, or I can post clips or like segments of the stream. So like, for example, this hour and a bit could just be a segment I can post on that other channel. Cut out the fluff. so it's kind of easier to watch, and you actually know what you're watching when you're going into it. I could start that even with the previous stream, but I'll keep that stream up for like at least a month so people actually get the chance to watch it. But normally, like after maybe like minimum 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, or sorry, no, between 2 to 3 weeks after it's been uploaded, I would probably I private, but yeah, like I said, like if it's in demand, then yeah, sure, I'll post the VODs on my other channel as well. But yeah, what was I gonna say? So yeah, at the end of the last stream, we were reacting to what Braga was saying about the whole swordsmanship thing, and that thing that people were killing Braga for. But I actually watched the wrong video, and I found the one. Storm sent it to me, and at that time, bro, Braga was getting killed for it. He was getting killed for it, but I never actually saw the full context. So I kind of essentially, what the video I actually watched was the one after the one that I wanted to watch. So it was more of his comprehensive views and his opinion of it after the official translations of that chapter came out. That chapter was, I believe, 1154, which was the one where the Rox pulls up to Marijawa, pulls up on Emu, and then the narrator talks about his whole swordsmanship being like a canon or whatever. So I did want to watch that because I felt like that would be interesting, and then also I'll end it off with a little power bracket that we can do. I found, I actually didn't know there's actually so many of these. There's one for Hunter x Hunter that I saw as well, that maybe I can end the stream with, like, briefly, since I'm trying to like do more Hunter x Hunter content anyway. But then obviously start off with the One Piece one anyway as well. So yeah, if this actually turns out longer than I thought, then I don't really mind. I have time. This is Saturday night. I don't really mind. I don't really mind burning hours, to be honest. Alright, cool. Let me pull this shit up though first. So where is this? Alright, Braga is getting killed for this, man. If you haven't finished the last stream, then you got more to watch. You're welcome. Oh, here we go. Alright, let me just put my headset on.
In the surrounding vicinity away. It made me think of Divine Departure, where seemingly has managed to flip things and craft things in a way so that he doesn't seem vulnerable in front of others. Something small that stood out, but it gets referenced later, so we'll talk about it again in the full context of the situation. Now, back to swordsmanship.
Here's where we're gonna kick things off. Prince, you missed the whole Usopp Warriors Pride conversation, man. You missed the whole good conversation. That was a great conversation, honestly. That was a great conversation. I actually like that. But yeah, so okay, this was 11:55. So this was Braga's reaction to 11:55. Obviously, raw thoughts. I'm not gonna hold him to this opinion like too crazy, but I remember at the time people were killing him for it, and they especially killed him for it after Roger pulled out his best shit against Rox. And the best shit that Rox and Roger pulled out was just their swordsmanship, just haki on their swords, nothing crazy, nothing different, and out of the realm of expectation that we've seen with other swordsmen like Zoro, for example. So obviously this is tied down to the whole Mihawk versus Shanks thing, because the whole Shanks stronger than Mihawk position, it only works if Shanks has a fighting style that's not swordsmanship, or not that it's not swordsmanship, but he has another style of fighting that's primarily not swordsmanship. That was the only way that conversation would even work. Yeah, so people thought at the time when the narrator was saying what he's saying about Rox, and I'm gonna let Braga say what he was saying at the time, because like I was saying in the last stream, the only reason why I'm more comfortable talking about this now, rather than like a month or two ago, like what I'm saying, cooler heads like prevail at the end of the day, and because it's not as hot of a topic anymore, I'm more comfortable speaking about this, because bro, people were just getting mad disrespectful at the time. You know what I mean? And it was too heated for my liking, bro. It's too heated. But at the same time, I hear it. I understand why people felt that way, but there's obviously a better way to communicate differences. You see what I'm saying? So, maybe he's changed his mind, but this is what a lot of people, a lot of uproar was caused because of. So let me hear this shit.
I did that just now where I talked full context of the situation. Now, back to swordsmanship.
Back to swordsmanship. Right, let me play this on.
How I did that just now where I talked about swordsmanship, then went away from it and just came back to it. That's how Oda does it. Like, swordsmanship is important. The specifics and the buildup of it hasn't seemingly been that way. So he talks about Rox and Rox's swordsmanship, and he says Rox's swordsmanship was renowned for its brutal impact, akin to a giant hammer or cannon fire. It was said to blow everything in the surrounding vicinity away. It made me think of Divine Departure, where when Roger used it, it sent Odin flying. It did not completely just cut him in half. It was somewhat like a blunt force sword slash. Now, not saying they're the same thing. However, it could be a specific type where I'm choosing not to cut, but to hit you with the blunt force of haki. Oda is...
Cool. So the comparison to Divine Departure is fair. Even in Shanks's Vivid card, or not actually, is it? No, it's not Shanks's Vivid card, sorry. It's Roger's Vivid card that talks about Divine Departure. It literally is like it's a slash technique that generates a shockwave. So it is similar to what Rox's swordsmanship is described as. So drawing that comparison isn't wrong. The only nitpick I would say here is, and I wouldn't even say it's a nitpick, since this is kind of like what the whole Shanks narrative derives from in terms of the way that he fights and what Divine Departure is. People make it seem as though to be a swordsman you have to cut. If you're using a sword and you're not cutting, you're not a swordsman. I don't know when this pivot started, but it started sometime, I don't know. I don't know. Whenever it started. The problem is that in that moment, when Zoro used Divine Departure, Killer's mask is cut. I'm pretty sure the mast of the ship is also cut. And the explosion is because of Shanks basically cutting or slashing Kid's weapon that is charged up. It's literally charging up. And we already know it's a railgun, like it's gonna cause a beam, it's gonna shoot off a beam. So if Kid was midway charging up a beam and then that weapon now gets destroyed, an explosion being the end result of that is natural. You see what I'm saying?
Where I'm choosing not to cut, but to hit you with the brunt force of haki. Oda is somewhat creating a divide.
Another thing is that, and I remember I brought this up at the time, Zoro's Pound Phoenix techniques are also described in the same way Rox's technique was described to be. His swordsmanship was described to be. Literally, when Zoro first debuts the Pound Cannon, he literally says to whatever the guy's name was, Branham or whatever the guy's name was. I forgot the guy's name. But he literally said something along the lines of, "Oh, imagine how it'd feel to be hit by a cannon. Like this upcoming one, this could be like a cannon." Yeah, it was an air slash, but it was described as a cannon. Do you know what I mean? And Zoro has other like shockwave based techniques as well.
To cut, but to hit you with the brunt force of hockey. Oda is somewhat creating a divide with swordsmanship and swordsman strength. Now, it's hard to say where this is leaning because I've seen it all, right? I saw it all when I was streaming, where it was like Shanks upscale or Mihawk upscale or whatever. But this is specifying that Rocks and how he fights, he uses his blade, but it is brutal. It's a brutal impact. It's almost, right? It's like an attack that once it hits you, it explodes. Again, it feels a lot like Divine Departure, and one could say this is you using swordsmanship, but it's not focused on the skill, it's focused more on hockey. And that's the focus of this type of swordsmanship that Rocks is renowned for. Again, this is us trying to parse through everything that they're saying.
And see, here's another part, yeah? So, what he essentially said is the whole meme of where, like, Zoro and Roger are like side by side on a panel, and then they're both using the same thing, like haki flowing out their swords, but one is called sword skill and one's called sword strength. He's literally describing the meme, and that's where the meme comes from. Like, it comes from that idea that people try to like cause some sort of divide, like he's saying. The problem is that when there's a precedent of other swordsmen that are all acknowledged as swordsmen just from everybody, whether you think Shanks is stronger or not, and they're doing similar things, that logic kind of just breaks apart. It breaks apart completely. I'll try to find that, and actually I'll literally quote. Let me find this exact quote, actually. Hold on. So this is fuck. Here we go. Cool. So this is what Zoro's Pound Phoenix techniques is described as, yeah? This is in his Vivid card. This is literally, I'm reading this word for word, right? With powerful muscle strength and physical power, he releases slashes that fly like cannon fire. With each sword, earthly desires are added. 36 with one sword style, 72 with 2 sword style, and 108 with 3 sword style, 108 earthly desires Phoenix. He could switch between them depending on the situation and the number of enemies. The main part to highlight here is the beginning of what I said. He releases slashes that fly like cannon fire. Rock's swordsmanship is described that way as well, right? But no one would consider Zoro here doing sword strength and not swordsmanship and not sword skill. And that's kind of the problem.
And the reasons behind it, is it Mihawk upscale? Is it Shanks upscale? I really can't tell you. I think for the most part, it is all swordsman upscale because it is Otis starting to somewhat create a path. Even though, again, like I said, I think it's a bit too late. Where are we going to go from here? Either way, interesting information.
Wait, hold on. So,
I really can't tell you. I think for the most part, it is all swordsman upscale because it is Otis starting to somewhat create a...
So if it's all swordsman upscale, as he said, and look, I can give him the benefit of the doubt to some extent. Like, the guy's making this video probably just spitballing. This is clearly unscripted. He just done a review of he just done a reaction to the chapter. He's just going off his initial impressions. fair enough. It's not going to be the most well articulated thing ever, right? But at the same time, you kind of told on yourself here. Like, if it's a swordsman upscale, and one is the world's strongest swordsman, then what the hell are we even talking about? What the hell are we even talking about at this point? It's pound cannon depending on the translation. I understand. I know it's pound cannon. Pound phoenix, pound cannon is the same thing. Same thing. I think the reason why it's translated as phoenix, I think it sounds the same or something. I'm not sure. I'm not Japanese, but the point is that he's kind of telling on himself here. If it's a swordsman upscale, then if one is the world's strongest swordsman, then what are we even doing here?
A path. Even though, again, like I said, I think it's a bit too late. Where are we going to go from here? Either way, interesting information. And pointing that out, again, I think it's imperative before he hits Loki, because we're like, well, why didn't Loki just get split in half? Well, no, his swordsmanship is brutal. He uses his blade, and it's an impact, right? It's a cutting. It cuts, but it's more of an impact. And so that's why Loki didn't die. He just got hurt. I absolutely love his laugh after Loki gets hurt, because he's like, bro, this could have been so much easier, but hey, if you want to have fun, we can have fun. Love that. I love rocks, man. Love rocks. Now, narrator's back. Might just be me. Wow.
Cool, so this wasn't even this wasn't even some long segment at all. This wasn't even a long segment at all. So literally what I've seen is what he said. Like, I've already seen all this pretty much. I thought there would be like more context that I didn't actually see at the time, but that's really all he said. I think the follow-up video that he made on this is where he told on himself quite a bit, in my opinion. And look, I'm not trying to single him out, because essentially what Brago's doing here is kind of like the general sentiment of most people that think Shanks is stronger than Mihawk, that are trying to have an honest conversation with it. They're trying to have an honest conversation whilst holding the thought and the opinion that Shanks is stronger. But when you have that opinion and you know you can't really substantiate it properly, and then this is the way in which you try to do that, you see how some way down the line you're gonna end up telling on yourself as you're trying to explain yourself. Pretty much what he said so what I reacted to in the last stream, basically what he's ultimately said is that despite the technicalities of Shanks being a swordsman, using a sword, so on and so forth, Shanks is portrayed, or people feel like Shanks is portrayed to be stronger. And I made a big point to highlight what portrayal actually means. The way something is described, demonstrated, illustrated within a series, film, artwork, so on and so forth. And in the manga, the way that Mihawk is described is as the world's strongest swordsman. So if you agree that Shanks can be categorized as a swordsman, and the way Mihawk is portrayed, as in he's described as such, then what's the need of this conversation? That's kind of why I'm tired of it. Like, the only reason why I'm tired of this conversation is because it doesn't really go anywhere. The conversation doesn't really evolve. The only thing that really and truly evolves is the pivots on the Shanks side, because they know that as long as Shanks is only shown fighting like a swordsman, there is no argument. There is no argument. So the only evolving argument is on that side, and every single time it evolves backwards. It literally evolves backwards. The pivot gets worse and worse and worse. And as they try to explain themselves, they tell on themselves again and again and again. And that's why I can make 5 Mihawk vs Shanks videos until the moon turns blue. But really and truly, like, if this was any other series that I was covering, this would not be such a popular conversation to have. It really wouldn't. That's why I don't find this conversation to be that interesting anymore. Because once you've first had that conversation a few times and you've kind of heard it all, then each evolving argument is not going to be that interesting anymore. It's just not that interesting. Because ultimately, as someone like myself that thinks that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, I'm kind of repeating myself every single time. I feel like I'm just repeating myself really and truly. Chapter 50, chapter 50. Chapter 96. Chapter 434. Chapter 1087. Or chapter 1057, sorry. Or 1058, whatever it was. Where Mihawk got his bounty. So me regurgitating the same thing, it doesn't make it that interesting. Whereas, if I can imagine if I was on the Shank side of things, I'll probably find a new thing to say every single day. It must be fun. I'm just theorizing new shit. Because I know what I have in the story ain't enough. Coming from the DBS fandom, Jiren vs Broly vs Beerus is way more nuanced in terms of who is stronger than Shanks vs Mihawk. 100%. 100%. I can't lie, you snuck Beerus in, but if you want to say anime only, then yeah, I agree. There's more nuanced. And that's saying something. That's actually that's kind of saying something as well. The fact that could be more nuanced. Even though they are kind of like direct statements, depending on which side you lean to. So yeah, man, like that's why like I can say this quite openly and honestly. I said this in the last stream, I'll say it again. Bro, it's an open secret. Anytime I do some Mihawk video based on some bullshit you might have seen on like Twitter or Discord or whatever, like I hope you know I'm just engagement baiting. I hope you know this. Because I don't find it that interesting. There might be a time where like a certain part of that conversation, it might be just good just to educate people on. Then fair enough. Like, for example, my last video was like a bit of a mix between me kind of engagement baiting and at the same time being informative on certain things. We needed Kevin Samuels for the community to make people see logic. That is one of the worst people you could have used as an example for that. Kevin Samuels. Oh my god. You could have said anybody, bro. You could have said anybody. Bro, man said Kevin Samuels. If there was a Kevin Samuels for this community, bro, he would be like top 5 most hated person, bro. People wouldn't even be listening to what he's saying. They would just be hating him. Literally, they'll just be hating him. Sorry, in chat says the only way to fight with a sword without swordsmanship is by using it as a conductor for energy attacks, like with Ceros and Bleach, which is clearly not the case with One Piece combatants. Oh no, I actually don't know about the whole Bleach comparison. To be honest, I think Kubo would probably say that shit is swordsmanship. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt you would say that's swordsmanship. I'll take that back. The thing is, you know what? Funny enough, like in the past, I made a whole video about the swordsman problem, and part of the reason why I made that video was because of conversation like these, where people would say that like certain people with a sword aren't always swordsmen, and King was always the example of that. When that chapter came out, 1023, when that came out, and King was saying that, do I have to use like traditional forms and whatever in order to fight? And Zoro said, I guess not. You didn't call yourself a swordsman. When that came out, the redhead niggas went crazy. Became like their national holiday. That annual holiday where they can just, champion that whole bullshit they were pushing. And I tried to have a nuanced conversation with it because I was like, you know what? Like, to some extent, I can hear where they're coming from. If the whole King thing was right. If that was Oda's intent. And then King's Vivid card came out and then he said he was a masked swordsman. And I was like, huh. I guess I done that for no reason. I'll be honest. I was like, oh, I guess I done that for no reason. I guess it was fun while it lasted. But even in that conversation, I would broadly what I felt, I still think is true, broadly. I think generally speaking, swordsmen in One Piece, they still do use forms and techniques. Forms being styles, it's just not always named. Like, Kaku's not really like a traditional type of swordsman, like a Ryuma or a Vista. Or an Ashura Doji, for example. Because of his whole giraffe route and his CP9 like Rokushiki techniques. But at the same time, he's still a full sword style user. He says that himself. He just doesn't say full sword style, this technique every time he's doing like a sword attack, for example. Law, same sort of thing. Technically, he'd be a one sword style user. Technically, he's a one sword style guy. There isn't any fancy name for the way that he displays his swordplay in conjunction with his devil fruit. But yeah, that's what he would be. You ever drop in a ranking swordsman in One Piece? I've done one before. I've done that already. I probably could update it, but other than maybe like one or two characters, nothing really to update. I haven't done like an all-time one, but I've done one for like alive characters at that time. When did that come out? It didn't come out that long ago. Maybe like 2 years ago. Cool. I'm not trying to exhaust this conversation any longer, I'll be honest. What's funny about Shanks is he got one arm. What else is he going to do with the sword? Honestly, I don't know. Start pulling out laser beams from his eyes or something. I don't know. Literally, I don't know. I don't know why Oda said King isn't a swordsman. I'll be so raw. Two of Zoro's biggest fights, Oda states that there are no swordsmen like her. I don't know. Like, I think the King thing is like, technically speaking, King didn't say he's a swordsman like verbatim out of his own mouth. It's not as if he openly said he's not a swordsman. It was more so a thing where he implied that he wasn't, and Zoro acknowledged the fact that King never acknowledged himself to be one. It's not exactly like what happened with Mr. One. Like Mr. One just openly rejected the idea of him being a swordsman. Like he's just not a swordsman, like at all. Would you put Odin above Mihawk? No, I would not. Ah, cool. I wanted to do one of these. I actually never done one of these before. Feel like it could be interesting. I think I can randomize these. Shuffle seeding. But I don't want some boring cast of characters though. Cool, we'll do this one. So it's basically a tournament bracket. Bunch of characters left and right. We'll just go one by one. I'm sure you guys can see it. Obvious. If it's obvious, I don't know, bro. There's quite a few characters. I can't lie, it's quite a lot. If it's very obvious like this, so like Fujitora and Beige, I'll just do it really quick. And if it's like, if I feel like there can be a conversation, or I feel like some people would have a conversation about it, I'll leave it for the chat. Cool, so it's kind of easy. Oh shit, Yukimaru. Or this name. What's this nigga's name again? He was that nigga with always with Baby 5. He's a bum though. I'm giving it to Yukimaru. I'll be wrong. Hack vs Hody Jones. Hack vs Hody Jones. Hack is the guy, he's an officer of the revolutionaries. The guy had his fist broken by Bartolomeo, but on his barrier, but it's not really a bad thing. Hody Jones kind of pushed Luffy the distance a little bit in Gear 2 with the steroids. Even in this picture, he's eating the steroids. I don't know. I actually might give it to Hody Jones. What do you guys think? I actually might give it to Hody Jones. I wouldn't get so disrespected as community power-wise nowadays. Yeah, it's because of Zoro conversations. It's either that or the whole Kaido, the whole thing about Kaido like one-hitting Oden. But it's just people don't really understand like the actual nuance behind that. So if you're reading at like face value, you might think low of it, but I don't think Hack did anything or no on Dressrosa, so I'm giving it to Hody Jones, I'll be real. Kaido vs Killer. We saw that. And we saw who won. So, Kaido. Ivankov vs Robin. Now, I could be a dickhead. Or I could just keep it real. Buffalo, yeah, that was this guy's name. Buffalo. I could be a dickhead and say Robin has better feats, but I ain't gonna be a dickhead. I'll give it to Ivankov. Does Eva even have better feats? I don't even know. Now that I think about it, I don't even know what Eva's done. I don't even know what Eva's done, man. What ranking does Eva have in Revolutionaries? He is the Grand Line. He's the commander of the Grand Line. He's like one of the pillars of the Revolutionary Army. I'd say he's number 3. So Dragon, Sabo, then Ivankov. It's like third in command, kind of. Chopper vs Oven. Can't lie, if Chopper was actually hurting Queen for real, I would have given it to him. Other than that, I ain't giving it to him. Give it to Oven. Ivankov handled the Pacifista pre-time skip. Is that meant to be impressive? Roger vs Queen. What kind of question is that? Fujitora vs Gyukimaru. Fujitora. Kaido vs Hody. Kaido. Ivankov vs Magellan. So we've seen this fight. So there's 2 ways you can look at this. Because I'll keep it real, I'm voting Magellan regardless, right? But you can either say Ivankov's going to get upscaled later on, but in turn it could just be a Magellan upscale anyway. Or we could just stick to what happened in the manga and we saw this fight. We've already seen this fight. Magellan bodied him. Well, not really bodied, but was clearly the superior. So I'm giving it to Magellan. Roger vs Oven. Roger very easily. Kaido vs Fujitora. I don't know. Fujitora's got a supreme grade blade, I can't lie. And he's got gravity. But he has no eyes. Damn. I could be a dickhead and say this is base Kaido and just give it to Fujitora. Could be a dickhead. I think I do think Kaido is stronger than Fujitora, but maybe Fujitora shows off something that I wasn't really expecting in the final saga. Maybe. Yeah, Fujitora can drop the moon on him like Madara. The thing is though, he's already kind of done the whole meteor thing in Dressrosa and it was kind of handled pretty easily, so. Give it to Kaido. Magellan vs Roger. Roger easily. Roger vs Kaido. Roger. Kiku vs Beppo. What did Beppo even do? He went Sulong. Let's say we're saying Sulong Beppo. Sulong Beppo, I would say, I mean, he caught the Black Bay Pirates off guard. Kiku can damage Kaido. Nothing crazy. She lost to Kanjuro, but she was mental nerfed. She was mental nerfed against Kanjuro. I don't know. I might have to give it to Beppo. Might have to give it to Beppo. Let's give it to the polar bear. Doflamingo vs Ashra Doji. Now this is an interesting one. This is interesting. This is interesting. So, Doflamingo pretty much scales above a Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy and Dressrosa quite comfortably. But Gear 4 can't really stand to it at all. Kaido, while he was drinking sake and crying, made it seem like Doflamingo was trash. And Jack was tasked to go and get Doflamingo. Ashura Doji fought Base Jack, was kind of overwhelming him, broke his sword. He also fought Inu to stalemate. Base Inu, who can fight Jack for 12 hours. Let me see what you guys think. Didn't Ashura Doji die to a bomb? He's a Pell victim. Fair enough. Ashura Doji or Dofi? What do you guys think? Put up a poll. Seems like most of you is going with Ashura Doji. I probably would agree. I think it's easier to argue for Ashura Doji being stronger than Dofi. I think it's easier to argue it. Hina vs Law. Can't Hina is bad, man. I ain't even deep it for her until I looked at this picture. Yeah. I'm like what I'm seeing. I'll be real. Shanks vs Jack. Shanks are one-shotting him. Hawkins vs Who's Who. It's pretty self-explanatory. Who's Who was a flying six, the 6 strongest headliners, and Hawkins was a headliner. So Who's Who? Sanji vs Gecko Moria. The thing about Dofi, I think the thing about Dofi is that his scaling is like hard to argue for when we get to like some of these like commander level characters, that these mid end commander level characters, because of how Gear 4 kind of destroyed him. Do you know what I mean? And Gear 4 kind of destroyed him. You couldn't even damage Gear 4 at all. Cracker can somewhat damage Gear 4 at the very least a little bit. Moria is some ass, so even if Moria did get like a post-time skip buff, he's probably still getting smacked up by Sanji, so I'm giving it to Sanji. Izo versus that nigga in Alabasta. What's his name? Shaka. I think his name is Shaka. Or Chaka. Chaka. I think it's a CH. Yeah, it is. Izo very easily. Ryuma versus Black Maria. Now, shall I say Moria fought toe-to-toe with Kaido? Get the fuck out of it, man. Plus, that was a fat Moria anyway. I'm not... Actually, I probably should have said, to be fair, before I voted, I probably should have said... Actually, I could change it, actually. I could change it around at the end, but... If we were to do a Prime Moria, then maybe, yeah, Prime Moria probably would whip up Sanji. Maybe. So, am I doing Zombie Ryuma or am I doing Real Ryuma? Or am I doing chat? Am I doing Zombie Ryuma or Black Maria or real, like, alive Ryuma? Because Zombie Ryuma is getting smacked up. Prime Ryuma. Alright, cool. Prime Ryuma is. Beppo vs Ashura Doji. I'm giving it to Ashura Doji. That guy has more convincing feats against Kaido than Beppo's sneak attack. Shanks vs Law. If Shanks fought Law would end up like Kid. Law's actually lucky he fought Blackbeard, because if he didn't fight Blackbeard, he wouldn't really have like no feats for him. Like Shanks would have cut out the bullshit, ended it easily. But Blackbeard let him get a clash in before Dark Vortex, GG, you know? I'm gonna give it to Shanks. Who's Who versus Sanji. If this was Whole Cake Island Sanji, I wouldn't have given it to him, but current Sanji's smacking him up. Ryuma versus Izo. Shanks vs Ashura Doji. Very easily Shanks. Sanji vs Alive Ryuma. Ryuma's one-shotting him. Shanks vs Ryuma. Oh my god. Let me make a poll. Let me see what you guys actually think. Because I know what I think. I know what I think. But I don't know what you guys think. Shanks, Ryuma. I know what I think, but let's see. Yo, not a single vote for Shanks is crazy. Shanks ain't got a single vote. Not a single person is even trolling for Shanks right now. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ryuma versus Roger. I feel like it's going to be the same sort of thing. Where's his Black Blade? Is that what the chat's going to say? Let me just give it to Raima. Well, let me do another one. Oh. Okay. What the fuck? Oh, my reset. Alright, cool. I'm looking at these list of characters on the side. Don't really like how it looks. Let me shuffle it again. Ah, cool. Kaku vs Kizaru. Kizaru's one-shotting him. Robin vs Marco. Marco pretty easily beating her. Jack vs Corazon. Can't lie, Corazon doesn't even have feet better than a bullet, so kind of long day for him. Jack's winning that. Virgo vs Burgess. Huh. Burgess is stronger than Virgo, but I'm trying to think like feats wise. Was Raima about during Joy Boy's time? I personally don't think so. The only thing that we know at the moment is in One Piece magazine 6. It says Raima was around 400 years ago, and because of his law of being like the strongest in the world, I don't think he existed during Joy Boy's time. But who knows if Oda wants to change the law. Virgo feats wise, yeah, guy's a sub-law, he's a law victim. Very bad law victim. I don't think Burgess is a law victim like that in the same way. Especially after his fruit. Burgess won pretty easily. Shanks versus a fucking pacifista is dastardly, bro. That is sad. Baby 5 versus Rizo. Oh no, Rizo stored up that flame that he got from Kaido. She's getting one-shot. Carrot versus X Drake. Carrot is ass. X Drake is ass too, I'll be honest, but I don't know. Can't lie, I don't really like this. I don't know. Well, let me get through this quite quickly and I'll do another one. Chaka vs Komodori. Give it to Komodori. Marco vs Kizaru. We saw that in Marineford. Kizaru needed handcuffs, to be fair. Yeah, long fight with the regen. Kizaru wins in the end though. Jack vs Burgess. Burgess might actually be stronger, but Jack is still like he's like an entry level commander level character, I'll be real. Burgess could be stronger, but he ain't really got the feats yet, to be fair. Shanks vs Rizo. Shanks wins easily. X Drake vs Komodori. X Drake wins. Kizaru one-shots Jack. Shanks one-shots X Drake. Kizaru vs Shanks. I guess most people here will probably say, yeah, oh, damn, you're right. Komodori. Actually, wait, Komodori, even in CP0, he still has no feats. Why'd I give it to X Drake? I mean, why would I give it to Komodori, I mean? I feel like most people would say Shanks is stronger than Kizaru. And I would agree, so let me get through this quite quickly. Old Chinchar versus Black Maria. Black Maria is probably stronger. Katakuri versus Absalom. Katakuri wins easily. Rob Lucci versus Sanji. That's okay. This is an interesting one. This is interesting. This is interesting. So, the way I would see the matchup, if I was to look at it stats wise, I think speed wise, I'll give it to Sanji. Like his upper end speed when he vanishes is definitely faster than what Rob Lucci can do. Rob Lucci's like speed in his hybrid is probably like faster than what Sanji is generally. Like his normal speeds, but I actually think Sanji probably would still win actually now that I think about it. Cause low key, if you kind of want to, if you gas the feat with the feat alongside Bonnie and Frankie, you could make higher interpretations for Sanji, depending on how you interpret Bonnie's AP. Even though hers is a little bit kind of unquantifiable, it's kind of hard to scale, but Frankie's ain't really nothing to write home about, and it's like a balloon Luffy who's more durable. Even if they went 50-50 with the damage dealt to Luffy between Bonnie and Sanji, it's still pretty good for Sanji in comparison to Lucci's durability. His endurance is actually good though, so he could probably still endure a good amount of like Diable Jambe attacks. He can definitely endure a good amount of them. I think as the fight goes on, probably would go in Sanji's favor now that I think about it. Rob Lucci AP wise, all he's done is basically low diff Sentomaru through his barrier. He can clash with Zoro, which is decent, I guess. Probably still give it to Sanji though. Yamato vs Hack. Yamato one-shots him. Kiku vs Neko. Neko has better feats. Hachi vs Bluno. Bluno destroys him. Hawkins vs Hody Jones. Hawkins destroys him. Big Mom vs Pika. Big Mom destroys him. Black Maria vs Katakuri. Katakuri destroys her. Sanji vs Yamato. Yamato wins pretty easily. Neko vs Bruno. Neko wins. Big Mom beats Hawkins. And Yamato would one-shot Katakuri. Big Mom would beat Neko. And Big Mom would beat Yamato. Shanks would beat Big Mom. I think that's a very agreeable list. Bracket that I just done, very agreeable I think. Pretty boring, but let me shuffle this one more time. Let me try to find another one. Who the fuck is this? Bro, like, Hody, I'm still seeing Hody Jones in lists, bro. Like, this is crazy. Gecko Moria. And no, what the fuck? $128 characters. That's too many characters. This one, yo, we're gonna be here for a while. Yo, I might make this my last one, low key, depending on how long this takes to do. Yo, we're gonna do this one. Actually, no, I don't want to start off with Shanks vs Zoro, man. I don't want Zoro going out that easily. What the hell? Let me shuffle this again. Oh, I fucked it up. I should have kept it like that from before. Fuck. Oh, I kind of messed up. I'll be real. I should have kept. Let me go to the other list. I think this is more like updated characters, that's why. But let me see who's in this bracket. I'm seeing Karasu and shit, bro. Wow, Holy Jones again. Let me see some of this. Apu is disgusting. Get that guy on my face. Bro, I should have just kept on this one. I fucked up. Page 1 and no, I'm not doing no page 1 and L conversations. Alright, let's start hot. Let's do this. I feel like it probably will get a bit more interesting the longer we go. Cool. But I don't want to go. You know what? Shanks vs Odin. Let's start off here. Shanks vs Odin. Let me put this in the chat. I don't really mind doing like pre-time skip type of like lists, but then if they get matched up against top tiers, it's gonna be a bit boring, you know what I mean? So it's just a bit more interesting if it's like more debatable type of characters, or ones I haven't really thought about the scaling for. Odin vs Shanks. Seems like most people will go for Shanks. I would agree as well. Odin clears. Yeah, but the chat is going. The poll is saying Shanks right now. I'm going Shanks. Mihawk vs Aokiji. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I could play devil's advocate. If I wanted to be nasty, I could play devil's advocate. Mihawk vs Kuzan, who wins? Let me put that poll up. Mihawk slams that guard victim is crazy. Give me Gaimon vs Pandaman, bro. We're not doing no Gaimon vs Pandaman vs Farmer with a shotgun vs that guy in Hunter x Hunter, bro, at the beginning. In the Hunter exam, bro. Yo, Kuzan not getting a single vote is crazy. Surely there's someone that likes Kuzan enough to just vote him even if they don't think Kuzan's stronger. Let's not waste time. Mihawk wins that fight. Kizaru vs Blackbeard. When we're doing this, let's think about matchups as well. Let's think about matchups. Let's think about matchups as well. I could just say like overall strength. Actually, do you want to do overall strength or do you want to do matchups? Like factoring in how their abilities will interact. What do you guys prefer? Overall strength. You just do overall strength. Yeah, because to be fair, in a matchup, like Blackbeard kind of has matchup advantage against every top tier Dolph user. The overall matchup, matchup or strength. 1 for strength, 2 for matchup. Put it in the chat. 1 for overall strength, 2 for matchup. Most people are going with Blackbeard anyway, but just for future reference, I'm gonna go. I think Blackbeard's stronger than Kizaru anyway, but. We're Team Logic over here. What does Team Logic mean? Both is logical. Big Mom versus Akainu. I mean, one of Big Mom's abilities is the sun. Well, that sun don't shine that bright, so. We're giving that to Akainu. Douglas Bullet versus Sengoku. You know, I saw Douglas Bullet in the lineup, and I was willing to ignore it. The only reason being is because his scaling is kind of interesting. I can't lie. It's a little bit interesting, and it's very weird. It's very, very weird. I would still give it to Sengoku anyway, because Sengoku is well, depending on I don't know how most people even view Sengoku nowadays, but to me Sengoku is kind of like portrayed to be like a Garp rival. He's supposed to be on that Roger tier in his prime, and I'll just take like I'll take this as a prime Sengoku. And Douglas Bullet's narrative is that he wanted to like beat the 4 emperors and like beat everybody so he could be the strongest and surpass Roger. So his narrative within the movie was still to try to surpass Roger, whereas Sengoku is kind of portrayed to be on that level anyway. Yeah, like Douglas Bullet has some weird scaling to like Rayleigh in his prime. Kind of crazy. Rayleigh's kind of ass in the Strong World verse. I mean, not Strong World, sorry, Stampede verse. What's the most realistic bullet scaling? Let me think. The thing is, so he got beat up by Roger a bunch of times, I believe. He got beat up by Roger. He left the crew, and then when he left the crew, he's stated to be as strong as Rayleigh was in his prime. Like, he was stated to be like as strong as Rayleigh during the time when the Roger Pirates were active. And then as time went on, it's believed that like Bullet got stronger, so he probably surpassed Rayleigh actually. Funnily enough though, he's somehow like a crocodile rival, I think, if I recall correctly. I think he fought Crocodile once as well. Very weird scaling going on. But generally, the way he was propped up, he was as strong as Rayleigh was at the time. So that's kind of his general thing. Big shout out to Terry with the super chat. He says, "Yo Zage, you're a 10 out of 10 One Piece YouTuber, but bro, can you stop unlisting or deleting your past lives, please? I watch them occasionally and can't see them." Damn. Cool. I'll make a concerted effort to upload the VODs onto my second channel so that you can watch them. I can't promise that with like the last 2 years worth of streams, but I could promise it from now on. But usually, look, well, I said this earlier, usually what I do with the streams is that I'll leave them active for like maybe like a two weeks or 3 weeks, and then I'll unlist and private them, mainly just so that my channel algorithm doesn't get messed up by like lives, because lives are just me being casual about it. I just don't really want it to mess up with one of my videos and stuff, but I do have a second channel anyway, so I can upload it there. I think even the link to my second channel, it should be in the description. Anyway, I'm giving this one to Prime Sengoku. If it's not, I'll update it. Or it should be, if you go onto my page and you like scroll all the way down on the home, I think it should be there. It's actually Zaza. It's called Zaza. Maybe I'll rename it something else, but yeah. Dragon vs. Garp. Dragon vs. Garp. Yeah, we're gonna be here all day. But yeah, appreciate it with the super chat, Terry. Are we doing primes for every character? I'm gonna do primes for every character. Because I don't know if there's like a prime variant of like Garp here, so I don't know. I'm just gonna do primes. Prime Garp or Dragon. I would say Dragon is stronger than old Garp. I think most people would agree. Is it time to push Dragon narratives? I don't know. When Dragon starts looking west instead of east, maybe, yeah. My thing with Dragon, this is my thing, right? Like, personally, I kind of do have like low-key stocks on Dragon. I do think like on the lowest of keys currently, I actually do think he's probably the strongest. He'll get surpassed by Blackbeard eventually, in my opinion, but I think for now, I think Dragon is the strongest. There's a couple of reasons why I have that feeling. Firstly, because Dragon's kind of unique as an existence, because as Robin was explaining, unlike pirates, the revolutionaries are directly going against the world government. Directly. The way in which they do that is by essentially spreading their ideology and causing revolts in member nations of the world government. to essentially turn on them. The only crew that's ever been kind of associated by being like a direct threat to the world government was the Rocks Pirates. Now, I don't think the Revolutionary Pirates are anywhere close as a force, probably, to the Rocks Pirates, just because of their roster is just unreal. But he's the world's worst criminal. He's an even worse criminal than someone like a Kaido, who had the highest active bounty before he died, or got defeated, I should say. So realistically, he should have a higher bounty than that, bare minimum, if not in the 5 billions. Ivankov and Garp pretty much confirmed in Marineford that he's also a conqueror, so there's no doubt on that part. Dragon's ambition as well is one of the craziest ambitions. So yeah, I just, it's kind of like there's no feats for Dragon, but I do feel like he probably will be minimum top 5, I'd say, minimum. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Prime God anyway. Alright, cool. Whitebeard versus Zoro. Damn, they literally put 2 of my top 3 favorite characters against each other, man. That's crazy. No evidence for Dragon being stronger than Shanks and Mihawk. Yeah, that's true. But there's no evidence for Dragon being stronger than quite a lot of characters. So, just depends how you feel about it. Whitebeard is smacking the shit out of Zoro, unfortunately. Since we're doing primes, we're just gonna say Whitebeard in his prime as well. Because I don't know if there's a prime Whitebeard here. So yeah. Kaido versus Luffy. Bro, I'm not doing no Snake Man Luffy. This is an old bracket. I don't know if that's the thing, like looking at this picture, like the fact that they put a Snake Man Luffy up could be for one of 2 reasons. Either this is an old list, like an old bracket they made, or they're doing different forms, and I don't think they're doing different forms. So I'm taking current Luffy versus Kaido. I know that's like a hot topic, or like a debatable one. Garp won the poll against Dragon, unfortunately. So we'll say Kaido versus Luffy, since we're doing overall strength, no matchups. Even old Whitebeard I'll still take over Zoro. I don't think it's debatable, Eli. I don't think it's debatable at all. We've seen that fight already, unless we're arguing like Egghead or Elbaf. You know what? I agree, Kyle. I think it is Luffy. Seems like you guys agree as well, but hey, man, I don't know. Some people still want to cope and say it's Kaido, but Luffy is definitely stronger. Luffy ain't getting his nose wiped. That's crazy. Hmm. 60% is going to Luffy right now, so I'm going Luffy. And I agree as well. Shanks vs Mihawk. Oh my goodness. It couldn't have been scripted any other way. It literally could not have been scripted any other way. And the great thing about the pictures they used is that Shanks has a sword in his hand. Perfect. Let's take the world's strongest swordsman. Blackbeard vs Akainu. Oof. Blackbeard vs Akainu. Let's make that a poll. I feel like the polls I'm making are kind of spoiling up the matchups for you, because I'm seeing them ahead. I'm seeing them ahead of time. Cool. Let's think about the arguments for both. So, yeah, what Red Dolphin said in the chat. There's one potential argument. Aokiji and Akainu are relative, and Blackbeard kind of portrayed as stronger than Aokiji, being a captain and all. Although they kind of partnered up with unconventional means. Or you can take a more feats route and say, depending on how you Whitebeard that is, Whitebeard, renowned as the world's strongest, even in Marineford. Akainu was able to match him power-wise. They were both suppressed. Maybe they're pretty close. Blackbeard has only just mastered the Gura fruit post time skip relatively recently. He's stronger than Old Rayleigh by Old Rayleigh's admission. You could really argue this either way. You couldn't. Yeah, Kainu has. He doesn't have the most offensive devil fruit, by the way. Now that's like a misconception people have. What's said in the video card is that his devil fruit is on the highest offensive tier. He's on the highest class of offensive power. So other fruits can be on that as well, like Whitebeard's, for example. And Blackbeard also has the Quake fruit, so he has the Tremor fruit. %90 is going with the Kaimi. Oh shit, I didn't even see the poll. Mad. I actually do agree. I actually do think Akainu is stronger than Blackbeard currently. The main reason being, I don't think Blackbeard is at his peak yet, personally. And I think Blackbeard will be definitively stronger than Akainu when he kind of peaks. Right now, it is debatable. It just depends kind of how, like, the matchups are in the final saga kind of shape out before I can kind of give, like, a retrospective scaling for these two matters, you know? But I don't know, it depends what you think Akainu's going to be doing, like, Final War. Depends what version of Luffy you think he's going to be fighting. But I probably would say feats wise, like, Akainu probably has better feats against the former world's strongest, so, you know, just off that alone, I probably would give it to Akainu for now, but hey, maybe the whole Aokiji relativity thing can give Blackbeard an edge. In a matchup, I would take Blackbeard though. Blackbeard would beat Akainu in a matchup, I think. Because they're pretty close anyway. And Blackbeard has a crazy offensive fruit and a Del fruit nullifier. So overall, I would give it to Akainu. Sengoku vs Garp. Let's not waste no time. Garp is beating Sengoku. Whitebeard vs Luffy. This is a Prime Whitebeard we're doing, so Prime Whitebeard would beat Luffy. Mihawk vs Akainu. God damn. I wonder what the other side of the bracket is going to be. I feel like this one was the most interesting ones in terms of matchups. Let me see what you guys think. I feel like I just have a very Mihawk heavy chat. Can't say I'm surprised, but I feel like I have a very Mihawk heavy chat. Jay, do you think Blackbeard looks more West African or East African? I'm saying East, you know. Well, Oda said in the SPS that Blackbeard would be from Somalia, so yeah, East African, I guess. Yeah. Mihawk got mad range. Akainu Haki's gonna be powerful. Mihawk is kind of smacking Akainu in the poll right now, so. And I do agree with the poll. I do agree Mihawk is stronger than Akainu. I probably would still say Akainu has better feats than Mihawk right now. Like, very, very clearly has better feats, but... That's the thing, I think because of there being very little to go off with some of these top tiers, you can kind of make arguments for either one. Like I can make an argument for Mihawk, something like this. Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, so he's stronger than Shanks, who Blackbeard was wary of pre-time skip and hasn't really tried to run the fade because he said, you know, it was too early and it doesn't seem like it's still the right time for Blackbeard yet. Blackbeard, who is relative to Aokiji, who Akainu is also relative to. You could look at it that way. Yeah, Mihawk does have some statements, yeah. He does have some world strongest statements. That is true. Or you could look at it from Akainu's side and say, he kind of went toe to toe with the world's strongest pre-time skip. Mihawk, true distance thing. If you want to have like a bit of a more unfavorable interpretation for Mihawk, if you want to go there. And then just say that kind of defeats a bell. But I'm taking Mihawk. Garp vs Whitebeard. This is basically the same as the Mihawk vs Shanks thing. Like, too bad Garp isn't non-binary, eh? Let me see what the chat thinks. Damn, not a single vote for Garp yet. Can't say I'm surprised. Apologies, Garp. Oh, Whitebeard vs Mihawk. Oh man. Oh man. Again, too bad Mihawk isn't non-binary, I guess. Whitebeard uses a blade. Mihawk stronger than blade users. Whitebeard going on life support after. Whitebeard is hanging on to dear life in this poll. Low-key, I might just end it early so Whitebeard can win it. I hope now it's 50-50. Who's going to be the tiebreaker? Who's going to be the tiebreaker? Bro, no one's trying to break the tie right now. Fuck it, I'll break the tie. The fuck? Whitebeard. There we go. I tried to put the power in the chat's hands and they didn't want to take it. They didn't want to take it. Fuck. What happened? What? What happened to the other side of the bracket? There's no one on the other side of the bracket. Oh man, I was doing one side of the bracket the whole time. Fuck it, I guess Whitebeard wins by default. I guess he wins by default. There we go, someone broke the tie in the poll, gave it to Whitebeard. There we go. Let's end the poll there. I need to find like a good one of these templates. Cool. I'm gonna do like a Hunter x Hunter one. Like end the stream with this. Going on 3 hours. I didn't expect to stream for this long. Let's see. If it's some bullshit. Oh yeah, this is some bullshit. Oh yeah, this is some bullshit. Hold on. This is alright. I'll do this one. This is alright. Shall I pull up a Naruto one? Fuck it, I'll do this one and then I'll do a Naruto one after. I'll do a Naruto one. Cool. Gon vs Knuckle. I think Gon would win. His John Ken can kill Morale. His ingenuity is pretty good. You can pull off a way to get that off on Knuckle. Yeah, I'll go to Gon. Komugi vs Pariston. Pariston's beating her up, unfortunately, unless it's in Gungi. Jing vs Crollo. Is so sad to see Crollo go out this early, man. It is so sad to see Crollo go out this early. Unfortunately, I'm taking Jing. Unfortunately. Palm vs Morel. I'm saying as if it's really much of a combo. It's not really much of a combo, but I think Palm is probably a bit underrated. Palm is kind of like a squadron leader type of character, but Morel kind of just like IQ diffs, squadron leaders, so Morel. Mera vs Netero. Well, Togashi really kind of told us off the winner of that fight already, so no debate in there. Razor vs Bisky. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, cool. Razor vs. Bisky. The thing about Razor, you know, people like to do like this hypothetical Razor, where Razor kind of has, because all the like spell cards in Greed Island are from his Nen. So people try to make this composite like Razor, but Bisky, she's like a Nen master, tons of experience. She doesn't really have much feats either, though. To be fair, I don't know. I probably would give it to Bisky, but I can see someone saying Razor. Haruka vs Illumi. Just for my own sanity, I'm not gonna go Illumi. I'm not doing Nanaka. Sorry. Poku vs Krapika. Krapika's being the shit out of him. Pariston vs Gon. Pariston is a Zodiac. Probably is stronger than Gon, to be honest. Too bad it's not adult Gon. If I'm being genuine, I probably would give it to Pariston. Even though feats wise, Gon blows him out of the water. Jing vs Morel, I'll probably give it to Jing. Meruem vs Bisky. Well, it doesn't really matter if Razor won the previous matchup because he's going up against the fucking strongest nigga in the series, so kind of too bad. Which do you prefer, Hunter x Hunter or One Piece? I probably prefer One Piece a little bit more. Illumi vs Kurapika. Now that is a good fight. That's a good fight. Damn. You know what? I'm gonna go Kurapika mainly because Illumi don't really have feats like that. Illumi is kind of like a side-by-side Hisoka like scaling merchant, low key. He thinks he can kill Hisoka, but I don't know. It's a bit, you know what I mean. Kurapika though, kind of convincingly beat Uvagin. People try to make it seem like it's just a matchup thing, but speed-wise, he was kind of dogging him. Raw power-wise, he was able to damage him, even though he doesn't have more raw power than Uvagin. He has versatile Nen ability. I'm giving it to Kurapika, can't lie. Jing vs Pariston. Yeah, Pariston can out-Trollgen, 100%. Jing will smack the shit out of him. Meruem vs... Do you know what it is like? It's kind of sad because it doesn't really matter who actually wins these individual matchups. When you go up against Meruem, it says GG. So, yeah. Jing vs Meruem. GG. Meruem wins. Who's the other side of the bracket? Hanzo vs Killua. Killua yo-yo diffs him. Not Aunt Mito, man. It's kind of sad that you have to be on this list. Kind of sad. Shoot. Yeah. Melioron is like a peon level guy. Can through wins. Phaeton vs Kite. Debatable, but I'll probably still give it to Phaeton anyway. Raw power wise. UP vs Nov. Nov literally got aura diffed by Poof and Pito, so. Pito vs Hisoka. Killer already said Pito stronger. GG. Poof vs Uvagin. Poof, GG. The Squid or Leorio. Can't lie. Oh no. This is kind of a mid-off. I guess he's an officer ant, but Leorio ain't got really feats like that, so I'll probably give it to the Squid. Killua vs Shoot. Killua. Godspeed diffs him. Genthru vs Phaeton. Phaeton cuts him up in 2 seconds. Pito vs UP. Pito stayed to be the strongest after the king. Poof's being the shit out of that ant. Phaeton vs Killua. Also a debatable subject, but I don't really want to spend too long talking about this. probably would still give it to Killua, Godspeed, kind of GG. So yeah, but ultimately it doesn't really matter, because when you go up against Maruam, it's Maruam GG. So yeah. Pretty agreeable, I'd say, for the most part. Cool. Let's do a Naruto one, and then I'll call it a night. Naruto one's gonna probably fry my brain. Be real. Let's see. Naruto waifus is crazy. Kakashi vs Zetsu. I'm not doing no bullshit Zetsu skill. I'm so sorry. Taking Kakashi. Ao vs Zabuza. Zabuza is like a, he's a sub part 1 Land of Waves Kakashi victim. Kind of crazy. I think Ao is stronger than him. I just don't know what his feats are. Mito getting turned to miso soup is crazy. Probably would give it to Ao, but that could be wrong. Kiba vs Nagato. Sorry to see you go out like that, big bro. Oh, what's this nigga's name again? I forgot. Chojuro, that's it. Chojuro vs Deidara. Deidara's kind of smacking the shit out of him. GG. We literally saw this fight. We saw this fight. Uncle, I'm so sorry, man. You used to be bad. In part 1, I loved you, Uncle. I loved you. Uncle, I loved you. But you're getting bodied by Orochimaru. Sorry. Hagoromo? What the fuck? Why is Hagoromo on this shit, bro? This is gonna be mad boring very quickly. Gara, sorry to see you go out so early, man. Hagoromo wins. Kurenai vs Kisame. We kind of seen this fight. Kurenai doesn't really stand much of a chance, unfortunately. Itachi vs Choji. Damn. Sorry to see you go out like that, bro. Finger Genjutsu. GG. Ooh. Second Tsujikage. Sorry, second Mizukage. Versus Haku. I don't know why I'm saying ooh. It's literally the second Mizukage, like, pretty easily. Don't know, I'm thinking Kaguya, what the fuck? Oh my god, this is gonna be Ino versus Hiruzen. Hiruzen very easily wins. Hinata versus Rin. Rin didn't even make it to 15, so it's kind of crazy. Shizune versus Asuma. Huh. Oh no. Asuma, pretty sure he stayed to be like the strongest close quarters Jonin in like part 1. Shizune ain't really got feats like that. Probably would give it to Asuma. Can't lie. Hanzo vs Killer Bee. Ooh. Ooh. Hanzo. Kind of was beating up on the younger Sanin. Killer Bee is kind of stronger than the Raikage though. Ooh. I think I probably would give it to Killer Bee anyway. Madara vs Sai. Madara wins easily. Mei vs Kakazu. Mei wins pretty easily. Kakashi vs Ao. Kakashi wins pretty easily. Nagato vs Deidara. Nagato wins pretty easily. Orochimaru vs Hagoromo. Hagoromo wins pretty easily. Kisame vs Itachi. Itachi wins pretty easily. Kaguya vs Mizukage. Kaguya wins pretty easily. Hiruzen vs Hinata. Hiruzen wins pretty easily. It's turning into load of fights, like, what the hell? Asuma vs Killer B. Killer B wins pretty easily. Madara vs Mei. I mean, we saw 5 Meis not be enough, so yeah, Madara wins. Kakashi vs Nagato. Now, look. If I really wanted to be nasty, like, let me let you in on a little secret. Kakashi's my favorite character in Naruto. Okay, and it is by quite a big gap, I'll be honest. If I'm saying like War Arc Kakashi, I might have an argument for you. I might. I don't know, man, like low-key getting to Obito at the same time as Minato and KCM, like, I don't know, like, them speed feats kinda crazy, bro, like, kinda crazy, I don't know. I don't know if Nagato really, like, on smoke like that. I'm giving it to Kakashi just off bias, I'll be real. There probably is a way that you can probably scale him. Especially if I say, like, dual Mangekyou Sharingan Kakashi, then yeah. Hagoromo vs Itachi, well, someone's got better eyes than Itachi. Hagoromo wins. Kaguya vs Hiruzen, Kaguya wins. Killer B vs Madara, Madara wins. Kakashi vs Hagoromo, alright, cool. I can't cap for you no more, Kakashi, I'm sorry. Hagoromo wins. Kaguya vs Madara, even if it was the strongest version of Madara, Kaguya wins. So, yeah. I can't lie, people need to kind of like put that argument to like rest. This is also another one of those type of arguments. Hagoromo is not being Kaguya. Like, let's evolve as a civilization, as humanity. Kaguya is stronger than Hagoromo. Like, Hagoromo was saying that Madara was getting close to him, and Kaguya is way stronger than Madara, so yeah. Cool. Jiraiya vs the Water Nigga, so he gets you. Jiraiya wins pretty easily. Neji vs Tenten, and Neji wins pretty easily. Tamari vs what's her name again? Karin. I can't lie, Karin Uzumaki chains might actually just be her, to be fair. Rock Lee vs Sasori. Sorry to see you go out like that, little bro. Sorry to see you go out like that. Conqueror vs... Oh, this is a mid-off, bro. That's, you know, that's a mid-off. That's a mid-off. Probably give it to Conqueror, probably. Depending on the arc. This is a conversation. If this was part 1, probably give it to Kabuto. If this is early Shippuden, probably give it to my guy. If this is Sage mode Kabuto, might give it to Kabuto, but if it's 8 gate, then I would give it to Guy. So I don't know. If I'm saying 7 gate versus like the strongest of each, 7 gate versus Sage mode Kabuto. Low-key, the guy, Kabuto low-key is like a terrain merchant, low-key. Like, in the cave, he's really, really strong because of the manipulation, like. But in general terrain, I don't know if he's keeping up with... Nah, but Kisame could keep up with him. Nah, Sage man, Kabuto's beating him. Actually, but then it depends. If it's later War Arc, guy. I don't know. It's too much of a mindfuck. I'm giving it to Sage mode. Minato versus Iruka. Minato. Obito versus Darui. Obito wins. Sakura versus Kushina. Yeah. Damn. I can't lie. Depending on how I answer this, there will be a certain nigga, bro. Or certain two that might check me for this. Actually, three. Now I think about it. That might check me for this answer. So, Kushina, Minato rival. I'll let that argument slide. You know what I mean? But if I'm saying... yeah, I'll probably just give it to Kushina, to be honest. Kushina Loki. Tsunade vs Chio. Tsunade wins. Shisui vs Hidan. Damn, they literally put trash vs garbage. Literally trash vs garbage. That's crazy. Probably give it to Shisui though. Look, the Kushina thing is not my argument. I'll be real. Well, I guess it kind of is the story, but at the same time, her chain's kind of strong enough to like restrain Kurama. Yeah, man, I'll use that Kushina argument, bro. I don't really care, man. Get Sakura out of the paint. Ninetale saying that you finally surpassed your parents type shit. Tobirama's being Donzo. Hashirama's being the shit out of Onoki. Shikamaru's being the shit out of whatever her name was. Which kind of, I don't know. Sasuke vs Naruto. Naruto wins. Yamato vs Raikage. A4 wins. Jiraiya beats Neji very easily. Sasori beats Kar. Oh shit, bro! What the fuck? Who did I have Karin beat? Oh, it was Tamari. Yeah, I ain't using no crazy upper end scalers. Upper end scaler for Karin. I'm giving it to Sasori. I did not know you're one of them kind of dudes. Listen, I'll be so real. I've pretty much been convinced on the whole Kushina thing. I'll be real. I've been convinced. Like it kind of is facts. I'll be real. Like I'm probably not the best person to actually explain it, but if you had someone explain it to you, like you just kind of agree that it kind of is facts. Like the whole Naruto saying, I want to be as great as you, Pa, and stronger than you, Ma. Or something like that, whatever he said. It is kind of nasty work, but... it's kind of nasty work, but yeah, it kind of is facts. It kind of is facts. If it actually goes down to Kushina versus Minato, I'm not giving it to Kushina. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. There's only so far I'm willing to go with that shit. Minato versus Obito. We saw that matchup. Minato won. Tsunade versus Kushina. Yeah, I'm going to Kushina. I already had her beat Sakura. Just need to be consistent at least. Tobirama wins very easily. Hashirama wins very easily. Naruto wins very easily. Jiraiya beats Sasori very easily. Sage, ooh, Sage mode Kabuto versus Alive Minato. Aye, that's a combo. I can't lie, that's a combo. That's a combo. Fuck. But it might just be a speed diff. Yeah, it's probably like a speed diff, probably. Probably just give it to Minato. Tobirama vs Kushina. Yep. Well, there we got Kushina out of the paint. Let's give it to Tobirama. Hashirama vs Naruto. Naruto is just a strong Hashirama. Minato vs Jiraiya. Minato surpasses Sensei. Naruto beats Tobirama. Naruto beats Minato. And Kaguya still beats Naruto. Unless we're saying Boruto era, then Boruto era would win, but I haven't done Boruto era for any of these characters, so I'm not going to start here. Kaguya would beat Naruto and the series. Kaguya's the strongest. Alright. Hey, listen, man, don't put my head on a stake for some of these Naruto takes, man. I'm not a Naruto scaler. I do that shit casually. Some things I'll have a stronger opinion on than others, but generally speaking, some of it was based on vibes and a little bit, but I think for the most part, this is a pretty agreeable list. Pretty agreeable bracket, I'd say. Naruto is not winning this, unfortunately. Naruto end of Shippuden's not being Kaguya. But that's what I said, Boruto era, if you want to say Boruto era, then yeah, you can just say Naruto wins. And then, there we go. You can have a screenshot for both if you want. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to watch the OKC and Spurs game. Let me see what the score is actually right now. What's the score? Oh, it's a decent game so far. But that's probably not going to last long. Is Wemby playing? Wemby is playing. Hey, listen. I need to go watch the Alien. Hoop. So, anyway, good stream. Longer than I thought I'd be, bro. Longer stream than I thought. I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Take care of yourselves.